Have you ever noticed how sometimes a Catholic buzzword can be extremely popular one day and then vanish almost completely on the other? In this video, we're going to explore one of such buzzwords that seems to have almost completely disappeared. What happened to it and what it says about how we approach our faith today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Some of you might not remember, but in the late 2000s and early 2010s, when I was online rediscovering my faith during the pontificate of Benedict XVI, there was a term that was very often used whenever someone's views did not perfectly align with church teaching. And that term was Cafeteria Catholic. Supposedly, that expression was first used by Pope St. John Paul II to describe Catholics who pick and choose whatever teaching they want to follow. If they like something, they keep it. If they don't like something, they leave it behind, just like a person going through a cafeteria picking whatever food they like. At that time, you couldn't browse through a Catholic forum online without running into the phrase. Whenever someone strayed even a little bit from official Catholic doctrine, people would immediately slap that term onto them. It was everywhere, kind of like the term Pope-splainer or hyperpapalist nowadays. But ironically, Cafeteria Catholic actually describes the opposite kind of behavior than the one these newer terms express. But I've noticed something. The term Cafeteria Catholic seems to have completely vanished overnight. As common as it was back then, it seems to have completely fizzled out of the Catholic lexicon. Out of curiosity, I even typed Cafeteria Catholic into Google Trends, and here's what came up. As you can see, there has been a steady decline of the use, in general terms, of course, with some ups and downs, but nowadays it is not as used as before. But when did the steady decline came? Well, if you look at it, the last peak is actually in 2013. And guess what happened that year?
Habemus Papam.
Once Pope Francis was elected, the whole focus shifted. Commentators and outlets that were previously insisting that a Catholic must adhere to every single bit of Catholic doctrine suddenly were spreading the idea that a Catholic is not obliged to submit to every single teaching. Suddenly, there were arguments like, well, that's not infallible. Oh, the church teaching can be wrong. Oh, there have been bad popes in the past. Oh, this is not approved in forma specifica. Well, these arguments started sprouting everywhere, telling people that they did not need to accept certain teachings. So, of course, that would not sit well with just turning around and complaining about Cafeteria Catholicism. So that term was quietly shelved. That's the reason why, when so called traditionally minded Catholics come to me and say, oh, I just want to believe everything that I used to believe under Pope Francis, or I'm just acting the way I was before Pope Francis, well, I know that's not fully true. Okay, maybe it's true regarding the liturgy or some fine points of doctrine, but it's not true regarding some of the most fundamental and crucial aspects of our faith, like the filial devotion and religious submission that is owed to the Roman pontiff. Suddenly, Catholics who were very concerned about Cafeteria Catholicism are now completely silent about it if not participating in it, simply because the cafeteria is now on their turf and not on the other side's turf. So, no, they're not doing what they were doing before Pope Francis. Now, to be fair, there were already arguments used to justify disobedience, like that's just a prudential teaching of the church, or the church has negotiable and non negotiable teachings. And these excuses already existed before Pope Francis, back when Cafeteria Catholic was a go to expression. But these excuses that still exist today, back then were mostly confined to a subset of Catholic doctrine, which was church social teaching. And that was already wrong back then, don't get me wrong, but once Pope Francis came along, then people were trying to find justifications to dismiss almost everything that he taught. So it was impossible to continue to condemn Cafeteria Catholicism when people needed room to dismiss almost the totality of a Pope's magisterium. Now, let me be clear. I do not think that we should bring back the expression. It is a slur, and we should avoid slapping labels onto people lest we dehumanize them. But even if we should not use this expression, there is a wisdom behind it that we have forgotten. The idea that Catholic doctrine is a whole, and that we cannot just sort out through it just for the parts that we like. Take the concept of seamless garment, for instance. Some Catholics have argued that it's just an excuse to downplay abortion relatively to other political issues that appeal to the other end of the ideological spectrum. And to be sure, it has been used like that by some people, but then it was misused. Properly understood, however, that's not what seamless garment means. It actually means that all these issues are connected at their roots, and that they all stem from the same fundamental truths. The core Catholic belief in human dignity is what drives the Church to defend the unborn children, but also the immigrant, the poor, the prisoners, and anyone vulnerable. You cannot just pick and choose which groups you want to defend versus which groups you want to throw under the bus, because they all rest on the same moral foundation. If you weaken human dignity on one issue, you weaken human dignity in all issues. If you say that it is acceptable to prefer ideology to defending one group with their human dignity, then you're saying that other people might do that as well, even if they belong to another ideology that doesn't want to uphold human dignity of another group. It's the same moral foundation. And if you start removing bricks because you don't like them, you are damaging the whole structure. So today, I would like to invite my brothers and sisters in Christ to think about this whenever they come across an official magisterial teaching that they find difficult. Please stop, step back, and think. Am I trying to find justifications to not submit to this? Christian doctrine, taken as a whole, is a treasure, especially the parts that we may struggle with, because those are the very parts that may transform us and convert us to a more perfect discipleship. When something in our faith feels hard to accept, that's the moment to resist the temptation to find excuses to escape it. And that's the moment to have the courage to pray for the graces of understanding and obedience. Remember, Catholic doctrine is a whole. It is not a cafeteria where you can just grab whatever you like and walk past what you don't. Catholic doctrine is more like a seamless garment, in which if you tear apart one part, you damage the entire thing. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like and subscribe so that you will always be updated whenever a new video is released. Also, if you like this video, you'll probably enjoy my books, so please check out my personal website, pedrogabrielwriter.com, for more information about my books and other writings. That's all for today. God bless. Let us not treat doctrine as a cafeteria, and see you soon.